In the next window, we have Joseph, the most luminous window. Everything changes when you see the Joseph window. After the soft yellow of Naphtali, the cautionary dark blue of Dan, and the warrior movement of Gad, and the peaceful gray-green of Asher, and the haunting red of Reuben, and the gold of Levi, the Joseph window is something different in kind rather than in degree. It is more of a yellow-orange. It's warmer. It's luminous. It's the color of the sun at its fullest, the color of ripe grain in the harvest field, the color of fruit so heavy that it bends the branches, the most saturated, the most abundant, the most overflowing window in the entire synagogue. Chagall filled it with ripe corn and fruit-laden trees, the bounteous crop of the most favored son, and at the center of the abundance is a ram's horn. You see it up top. The shofar. This is the instrument of freedom and salvation. That the announcement that something has been released that was once bound. That something has been saved that was lost. That something has been found that was buried. Jacob's blessing over Joseph is the longest in the chapter in Genesis 49. The old man had 12 sons and pours out everything he has left in the blessing, the one that he loved the most. Joseph is a fruitful bow. A fruitful bow by spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers bitterly attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him severely. Yet his bow remained unmoved. His arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. And by the name of the shepherd, the stone of Israel, by the God of your father who will help you, by the Almighty who will bless you with the blessings of heaven above, blessings of deep that crouches beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The archers attacked him. They shot at him. They harassed him severely. Jacob is looking back at Joseph's story, the pit, the sell into slavery, the false accusations of Potiphar's wife, the prison, and naming every single part of it. The arrows that came from absolutely every direction of Joseph's life. The sustained, systemic, repeated attack on the beloved son. And yet his bow remained unmoved. The attacks did not stop the fruitfulness of Joseph. The pit did not prevent the abundance of Joseph. The prison did not halt the orange overflow of the Joseph window. The arms were made agile. They were strengthened. They were sustained. They were kept in the fight by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. Moses' blessing in Deuteronomy 33 adds the geographical dimension. The firstborn bull. He has majesty, and his horns are made of the horns of a wild ox. And with them shall he gore the peoples, all of them to the end of the earth. The ends of the earth here. Joseph's blessing reaches beyond the borders of Israel, beyond the promised land, to the ends of the earth. The most favored son, whose fruitfulness flows over the wall, not contained by tribal boundaries and not limited to the territory that's been assigned, running over the wall into everything around it. The Joseph window is the most theologically concentrated Christological portrait in this series. And the most casual readers treat it as the story of an admirable man who overcame adversity. And it's not primarily that. It's the most complete type of Christ in the entire book of Genesis. The beloved son, the one the father loved above the others, stripped of his robe, the coat of many colors, and thrown into a pit. Sold for silver, brought down into Egypt, into the place of exile and slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned and forgotten, and then exalted to the right hand of Pharaoh. Given authority over all of Egypt, the most powerful nation at the time. Given a name above his previous name. And using that authority to save the very brothers who sold him. The parallel to Christ here isn't subtle. It's structural. The beloved son stripped of his glory and cast into a pit of human flesh. Sold for 30 pieces of silver and brought down into the death. Falsely accused, buried, and forgotten by the world. And then raised. Exalted to the right hand of the Father. Given a name above every name. And using that authority to save the very humanity that crucified him. Don't miss the moment of revelation. In Genesis chapter 45, when Joseph finally reveals himself to his brothers, he does not begin with an accusation or a demand for an explanation or a catalog of what's been done to him. He clears the room of everyone except for his brothers. And he weeps so loudly that the Egyptians outside can hear him. And he says, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? Not I'm Joseph and here's what you owe me. Not I'm Joseph and you will answer for what you did. But I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? The first word out of the revealed Joseph's mouth are a question about the father. The beloved son exalted to the right hand of power. His first concern is the father. The relationship, the living connection between the exalted Son and the Father who sent him. This is the theology of John chapter 17 embedded in Genesis 45. Father, I desire that they also may be with me where I am. The exalted Son who rose, whose first thought is the Father and the restoration of the family to the Father. And then Joseph says to his brothers, do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. See, God sent me before you to preserve life. Do not be distressed. Do not be angry with yourselves. The beloved son who was sold into slavery is not keeping score. He is not computing the cost of wrong and presenting the bill. He is saying, what you did was absorbed by the purposes of God. What you intended for evil, God intended for good. The pit and the slavery and the prison were not detours from the plan. They were actually the plan. This is the gospel of the Joseph window. The warm yellow, the abundance of the ram's horn, the salvation arriving not in spite of the attacks but through them. The fruitfulness that flows over the wall produced by the very suffering the archers intended to destroy it with. The ram's horn at the top center of the Joseph window is the announcement that the son who went down has come up. And the son who was sold has been exalted. The slavery has become salvation. The prison has become a throne room. And the first words out of his mouth are about his father. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. The joy set before him. The father and the family restored. The beloved son exalted to the right hand, the ram's horn sounding the salvation that cost everything and produced everything. The Joseph window is the most luminous in the synagogue because the Joseph story is the most concentrated preview of the most luminous event in human history. The beloved son, the pit, the exaltation, the salvation of the brothers who sold them. Do not be distressed. God sent me before you to preserve life.